Poor girl was singing while cleaning the Millionaire's car. When he heard her, everything changed. Olivia Parker ran a damp cloth over the black Mercedes as her voice softly echoed through the parking lot of New York City's financial district. At 14, she worked hidden from authorities because her mother Jennifer had been unemployed for 6 months, and the money barely covered the daily medications she needed. That's when Richard Bennett heard the familiar melody. The 52-year-old businessman stopped in his tracks, dropping his briefcase on the ground. The tune the girl was humming was exactly the same one his late wife Catherine used to sing to their daughter years ago to help her sleep. "Where did you learn that song?" Richard asked, stepping closer slowly. Olivia startled and immediately stopped singing. She knew she shouldn't be there, but she needed those $10 per cleaned car. "I'm sorry, sir. I was just finishing up," she said, trying to step away. No, please continue. I just want to know where you learned that song." The girl lowered her eyes, embarrassed. Her simple clothes and the dirty rag in her hands contrasted sharply with the man's fine suit. "My grandma Dorothy used to sing it to me when I was little. She said it was a very old song from her youth." Richard felt his heart race. Catherine had learned that same song from her own grandmother. Could it just be a coincidence? "Is your grandmother still alive?" "No, sir. She passed 3 years ago. It was just me and her because my mom worked far away. When she left, I came to live with my mom here in New York City." The businessman studied the girl carefully. Her brown eyes shone even in hardship, and there was something in her posture that reminded him of Catherine, a natural dignity that poverty couldn't erase. "What's your name?" "Olivia, sir." "Olivia, I have a proposition for you. How would you like to work at my home?" "I'd pay better than this." The girl hesitated. Her mother had always warned her about strangers, especially wealthy men who made overly generous offers. "I'd have to ask my mom first." "Of course, that's the right thing to do. Here's my card. Have her call me if she'd like to talk." Dear listener, if you're enjoying the story, don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel. It helps us a lot as we're just starting out. Now, back to the story. That night, Olivia arrived home at their tiny 2-room apartment in the Bronx. Jennifer was in the kitchen, preparing ramen noodles, all they had left for dinner. "Mom, something happened today," Olivia said, showing her the card. Jennifer read the name, Richard Bennett, CEO of Bennett Construction. She knew the company, one of the largest in New York City. "What did this man want with you?" Olivia told her everything, including the part about the song. Jennifer frowned, worried. "Olivia, rich men don't just offer jobs out of nowhere. He must have ulterior motives." "But Mom, he seemed sincere. And did you see how much he offered? With that money, you could buy your medicine and still have enough left for food." Jennifer knew her daughter was right. For weeks, she had been putting off buying her medication, prioritizing food instead. But her fear of something happening to Olivia outweighed their need. "No, Olivia, it's too risky." "Then at least call him, talk to him. It doesn't hurt to listen." After much insistence, Jennifer agreed to make the call. Richard was understanding and suggested meeting at his workplace so she could get to know him better. 2 days later, mother and daughter stood in the luxurious offices of Bennett Construction. Richard greeted them personally, something that even impressed his secretary. "Mrs. Jennifer, I completely understand your concern. If I had a daughter, I'd feel the same way." "Do you have children?" Jennifer asked. Richard's face darkened for a moment. "I did. My wife Catherine and my daughter Emily. They passed away 10 years ago in a car accident." The pain in his voice was real. Jennifer sensed there was something deeper behind this job offer. "Why my daughter specifically?" "The song she was singing. It was my wife's favorite. I hadn't heard anyone sing it in years. It brought back good memories of a time I thought I'd lost forever." Olivia looked at her mother, hoping she'd understand. There was something genuine about this man. What exactly would Olivia do? "Light housework, tidying up, cleaning a few rooms, nothing heavy, and, well, if she wanted to sing while working, I wouldn't mind." Jennifer realized this was the real reason. The man was lonely, and her daughter's voice brought him comfort. "Can I see where she'd be working?" "Of course. I can take you there right now. Richard's mansion was in the Upper East Side, inside a gated community. It was much grander than Olivia had imagined. Jennifer felt intimidated by the luxury, but Richard made sure to show every space where her daughter would work. "This is the music room," he said, opening a set of double doors. Olivia was amazed. A grand piano stood in the center, shelves filled with sheet music and several photos on the walls. In one, a beautiful woman held a little girl in her arms. "Was this your family?" Olivia asked. It was. Catherine loved playing the piano. Emily was learning too. Jennifer saw the tears Richard tried to hide. She understood this man had no ill intentions, just grief. "All right. Olivia can work here, but with some conditions." "What are they?" "She only comes on Saturdays and Sundays. Weekdays are for studying, and I want to know exactly what she'll be doing each day." "I completely agree." They settled on a salary, 3 times what Olivia earned washing cars. Jennifer could finally afford her medication and even set aside some savings for emergencies. On the first Saturday, Olivia arrived at the mansion at 8 in the morning. Richard was in his office, working even on the weekend. The housekeeper, Mrs. Barbara, a woman in her 60s who'd worked there for 15 years, greeted her. "So you're the new girl," Barbara said, looking Olivia up and down. "Pretty young to be working, don't you think?" "I need to help my mom," Olivia replied politely. We'll see how long you last. Mr. Richard has hired plenty of girls like you." None stayed very long. Olivia didn't understand Barbara's sharp tone, but chose to ignore it. She started working in the living room, dusting the furniture and arranging the cushions. Without realizing it, she began humming the same song that had caught Richard's attention. The melody echoed through the house, reaching the office. Richard stopped typing and closed his eyes. For a moment, it was as if Catherine were there singing to Emily upstairs. The pain of loss mixed with a strange sense of peace. He came downstairs and found Olivia cleaning the items on the shelf. She had placed each piece exactly where it belonged, as if she knew their spots. "Olivia." "Yes, Mr. Richard." "Have you been here before?" "No, sir." "Why?" "Nothing. It's just, you arranged everything exactly how my wife used to." Olivia smiled shyly. "My grandma always said everything has its place. When you clean with care, the house feels happy." Richard's chest tightened. Catherine used to say something very similar. The rest of the day passed smoothly. Olivia worked diligently, always humming softly. When it was time to leave, Richard called her over. "Here, it's a bonus for your first day. He gave you $25 extra." Olivia Parker was surprised. "But sir, I didn't even work that much." "You brought music back into this house after so long. That's worth more than any housework." Jennifer was relieved when Olivia came home and told her about her day. The money allowed her to buy a whole week's worth of medicine. "What's Mr. Richard like?" "He's sad, Mom. You can tell he really misses his family. The whole house feels empty, even though it's so big." "And the housekeeper?" "Mrs. Barbara is a bit strict, but I think she misses his family too. She must have taken care of the little girl when she was young." The following Sunday, something unexpected happened. Olivia was cleaning the music room when she saw the piano. She approached it slowly, as if it was something sacred. She had never played a real instrument before, but she remembered Grandma Dorothy showing her the keys on the church's electronic keyboard. She played one note, then another. "Do you know how to play?" asked Richard, appearing at the door. Olivia quickly stepped back, afraid she'd done something wrong. "I'm sorry, I shouldn't have touched it." No, you can play. This piano hasn't been used in a long time." "I don't really know how. I only learned a little from my grandma. How about I teach you? Catherine taught me a few things." Olivia was surprised by the offer, but agreed. Richard sat beside her on the piano bench and showed her how to position her hands. "Let's try playing the song you always sing." For the next hour, Richard taught Olivia the basic notes of the melody. It was surprising how quickly she learned, almost as if she already knew it and was just remembering. Dear listener, if you're enjoying the story, don't forget to like and especially subscribe to the channel. It helps us a lot as we're just starting out. Now continuing. Mrs. Barbara watched everything from afar, her expression growing sour. Ever since Olivia arrived, Mr. Richard had been different, less grumpy, even smiling sometimes, and that bothered her deeply. That afternoon, when Olivia left, Mrs. Barbara went to Richard. "Sir, I need to talk to you about that girl." "What about her?" "Don't you think it's strange? She shows up out of nowhere, sings the exact songs Mrs. Catherine used to sing, and now she's touching her things as if she belongs here." Richard sighed. He'd known Mrs. Barbara for years and knew she was jealous of anyone who got close to him. Since losing Catherine and Emily, she acted as if she were the only one who could take care of the house and him. "Barbara, Olivia is just a girl who needs work. I don't see anything wrong." "Sir, people like that know how to take advantage. Before you know it, she'll be asking to borrow money. Then she'll want to live here, then—" "Enough, Barbara, I don't want to hear any more." But the housekeeper's words planted a seed of doubt in Richard's mind. Could Olivia really be taking advantage of her resemblance to his lost family? The following week, Jennifer began noticing changes in Olivia. Her daughter couldn't stop talking about Mr. Richard, the piano lessons, how the house was starting to feel happier. "Olivia, be careful not to get too attached to that family. Remember, you're just an employee." "I know, Mom, but he's so lonely. And when I sing, he seems less sad." Jennifer worried. She knew her daughter. She had too generous a heart and always wanted to help everyone. But this situation could bring her pain. "Sweetheart, rich people live in a different world from ours. We can't forget that." The next Saturday, Olivia arrived at the mansion excited to continue her piano lessons. But she found Richard different, more distant, more formal. "Good morning, Mr. Richard. Should I start cleaning?" "You may. But we won't have piano lessons today. I have too much work." Olivia Parker was confused but didn't question it. She began her work humming as usual, but she noticed Richard wasn't stopping to listen anymore. During lunch, Mrs. Barbara took advantage of Richard's absence to talk to Olivia. "Sweetheart, don't you think you're overdoing it?" "What do you mean, Mrs. Barbara?" "This whole piano lesson business, singing all over the house. Mr. Richard is a busy man." "But he was the one who offered the lessons. Men sometimes make offers out of politeness, but they expect us to have the sense to refuse." Olivia felt hurt. Maybe she had really gotten too carried away. For the rest of the day, she worked in silence, without singing. Richard noticed the change but said nothing. In truth, the absence of music bothered him more than he wanted to admit. The house fell silent again, just like before. When Olivia got home, Jennifer sensed something was wrong. "What happened?" "I think I was overstepping, Mum. Mrs. Barbara said I was exaggerating with the piano lessons." "She said that?" "Not in those exact words, but she implied it. And Mr. Richard was different today, more serious." Jennifer grew angry. She knew this kind of situation. People trying to bring down those who were moving up. "Olivia, you did nothing wrong. If he offered the lessons, it's because he wanted to." "But what if she's right? What if I'm being a nuisance?" "Sweetheart, you're a polite, hard-working girl. Don't let anyone make you feel inferior." On Sunday, Olivia returned to work still unsure. She decided to focus only on cleaning and avoid anything that might cause trouble. Richard watched her out of the corner of his eye. He had missed the music all week and caught himself waiting to hear it again. But Olivia remained silent. By mid-morning, he couldn't take it anymore. "Olivia, are you okay? You're very quiet today." "I'm fine, sir, just focused on work." "And the music? You always used to sing while working." Olivia hesitated. "I thought maybe it was bothering you." "Bothering me? Who said that?" "No one said it exactly, but it was Barbara, wasn't it?" Olivia didn't answer, but Richard understood. He knew the housekeeper well enough to recognize her ways. "Olivia, your music never bothered me. On the contrary, it's the most beautiful thing that happens in this house." "Are you sure?" "Absolutely. How about we continue with the piano lessons?" A smile returned to Olivia's face. They spent the whole afternoon in the music room, with Richard teaching new notes and Olivia learning with impressive ease. Mrs. Barbara watched them from the doorway, growing more irritated by the minute. That girl was changing the household's dynamics, and she didn't like it one bit. That night, she decided to take more drastic action. She called a few acquaintances in Olivia's neighborhood and started spreading rumors. You know that Olivia Parker? Well, she's working in a rich man's house, alone with him on weekends. Her mother allows it. What do you mean, Barbara? A 14-year-old girl, pretty, singing and charming a grown man. You know how it is. The gossip spread quickly through the neighborhood. Within days, it reached Olivia's school. On Monday, when she arrived for class, some classmates gave her strange looks. During recess, a group approached her. Is it true you're working for a rich man? Asked Madison, a classmate who had always envied Olivia. Yes, I am. So what? So people are saying you're alone with him, singing and all. Everyone knows what that means. What are you implying? Nothing, Olivia. We just think it's weird a girl our age prefers spending time with an old man instead of us. Olivia Parker turned red with anger and shame. She knew the insinuations were malicious and unfounded, but it hurt to hear them. You don't know anything. I work honestly to help my mother. Sure, Olivia. Work, said Madison, making air quotes with her fingers. Olivia ran off, tears in her eyes. She locked herself in the bathroom and only went home after classes ended. Jennifer noticed immediately that something was wrong. What happened at school? Olivia told her everything between sobs. Jennifer was furious. How dare they? I'm going to the school tomorrow to talk to the principal. No, Mom. It'll only make things worse. People will say you're defending me because it's true. Then what do you want to do? I don't know, Mom. Maybe I should just stop working there. Absolutely not. You've done nothing wrong. We won't listen to gossipers. But Olivia was deeply shaken. The cruel comments made her question whether her relationship with Richard really did seem strange to others. The following Saturday, she arrived at the mansion with her head down. Richard noticed right away that something was off. Olivia, you seem worried. Did something happen? She hesitated but decided to tell him. She explained the rumors at school, the hurtful remarks. Richard was furious but tried not to show it to avoid scaring her further. Olivia, people with nothing better to do always make up stories. You and I know the truth. I know, Mr. Richard, but it's hard. Everyone looks at me funny. Do you want me to talk to your mother? I can explain exactly how our meetings go. No need, she trusts me. The problem is everyone else. Richard thought for a moment. He knew the situation was tough for Olivia, but he also knew she needed the job. How about if Mrs. Barbara stays present the whole time you're here? That way no one can make up anything. Olivia agreed, thinking it was a good solution, but she didn't know Mrs. Barbara was the very one spreading the rumors. When Richard proposed this to the housekeeper, she pretended to agree but was secretly pleased. Now she could watch Olivia's every move and look for flaws to criticize. Over the next few weeks, Mrs. Barbara became a constant shadow. Whenever Olivia sang, she'd comment, "Do we really need all that noise?" When she played the piano, Barbara sighed loudly as if annoyed. Olivia began to feel constantly watched and judged. The natural joy she brought to the house slowly faded. Richard noticed the change, but assumed it was because of the school rumors. He had no idea Mrs. Barbara was actively sabotaging the girl. Things got worse when Jennifer started getting sicker. The medication she took had strong side effects, and some days she could barely get out of bed. One Saturday night, Olivia came home to find her mother passed out on the kitchen floor. Panicked, she called an ambulance. At the hospital, the doctor explained Jennifer needed more detailed tests to adjust her medication. "How much will it cost?" Olivia asked. "With your basic Medicaid plan, you'll have to wait about 2 months. Privately, it'd be around $1,000. Olivia knew they didn't have that kind of money. Even working at Richard's house, they barely covered basic expenses. Jennifer tried to reassure her. "Sweetheart, we'll just wait for Medicaid. It's fine." "Mum, 2 months could be too long. What if you get worse?" Back home, Olivia spent the whole night thinking. She knew she could ask Richard for help, but her mother always said not to become dependent on anyone. On Sunday, She arrived at work more worried than ever. Richard noticed immediately. Did something happen at home? Olivia hesitated but ended up telling him about her mother's problem. Richard listened carefully. Olivia, I can help with the medical tests. No, Mr. Richard, I can't accept. Why not? You work for me, you're a dedicated employee. It's normal to help when there's a need. Because people will say it's exactly what they thought, that I get close to you to get things. And what people say matters more than your mother's health. Olivia fell silent. He was right, but she was afraid of giving the gossips even more ammunition. Think of it this way, Richard continued. It's an advance on your salary. I'll deduct a little each month until it's paid off. That way she managed to accept. The tests were done the following week, and Jennifer found out she needed to change her medication. With the right treatment, she started feeling better. But Mrs. Barbara found out about the financial help and saw a golden opportunity. Mr. Richard, don't you think you're getting too involved with this family's problems? What do you mean, Barbara? First you offer her a job, then piano lessons, now you're paying for medical bills. Where is this going? Barbara, it's just a one-time help. You're too good of a man. These people know how to take advantage. Soon it'll be household bills, then private school for the girl, then who knows what else. Richard started feeling uneasy. Not with Olivia, but with Mrs. Barbara's constant insinuations. He realized the housekeeper was trying to sabotage his relationship with the girl. Dear listener, if you're enjoying the story, take a moment to like and especially subscribe to the channel. It helps us a lot as we're just starting out. Now, continuing. The following week, Richard decided to investigate the source of the rumors about Olivia. He called an acquaintance who had contacts in the neighborhood where she lived. The truth came out quickly. Several people confirmed that Mrs. Barbara had called around spreading gossip about Olivia. Richard was furious. For 15 years he had trusted that woman, and she was sabotaging an innocent girl out of pure jealousy. The next Saturday, he waited for Mrs. Barbara to leave for groceries and called Olivia for a serious talk. Olivia, I need to apologize to you. Apologize for what, Mr. Richard? I found out who was spreading rumors about you at school and in the neighborhood. It was Mrs. Barbara. Olivia was shocked, but also relieved. She had always suspected the housekeeper didn't like her, but she never imagined it would go this far. Why would she do that? Jealousy, Olivia. She's worked here a long time and got used to being the only person close to me. When you came and brought joy to this house, she felt threatened. What now? Now I'm going to fire her. I can't have someone like that working in my home. But Mr. Richard, she's been here so long. Time doesn't justify cruelty, Olivia. She hurt you for selfish reasons. When Mrs. Barbara returned from groceries, Richard was waiting in the living room with her termination letter and a generous severance. Barbara, we need to talk. The housekeeper immediately sensed by his tone that something was wrong. What's the matter, sir? I found out you were the one spreading rumors about Olivia in her neighborhood. Mrs. Barbara paled but tried to deny it. I don't know what you're talking about. Barbara, I have witnesses. You called several people making up stories about an innocent girl. Mr. Richard, I was only trying to protect you. These people take advantage of your kindness. The only one who took advantage of my kindness was you, Barbara. You worked in my home for 15 years. I always treated you like family, and you repaid me by hurting a child. Sir, please. There's nothing left to discuss. Here's your severance and a letter of recommendation. I want you to leave today. Mrs. Barbara still tried to argue, but Richard was unyielding. Within 2 hours, she had packed her bags and left the mansion for good. Olivia was deeply shaken by the whole situation. Even though she knew she hadn't done anything wrong, she felt guilty about Mrs. Barbara's dismissal. Mr. Richard, maybe it's best if I stop working here. I don't want to cause any more trouble. Olivia, you didn't cause any trouble. The trouble was already there. I just couldn't see it. But now you're without a housekeeper because of me. You're without a cruel person because of the truth. That's different. In the following weeks, the mansion became much calmer. Without Mrs. Barbara's constant critical presence, Olivia began singing freely again while she worked. Richard noticed how much lighter the house felt. It wasn't just Olivia's music, It was the absence of the negative energy Mrs. Barbara had spread without him realizing. One afternoon, as Olivia practiced the piano, Richard approached her with a thoughtful expression. "Olivia, can I tell you something?" "Of course, Mr. Richard." "You know I lost my wife and daughter 10 years ago, right?" "Yes, I do." "What you don't know is how it happened." Olivia stopped playing and listened closely. "It was a Friday night. Emily was only 8. We'd argued over something silly. She wanted to go to a birthday party, and I said no because I had to work that weekend." Richard paused, clearly emotional at the memory. "Catherine decided to take Emily to the party anyway. They left angry with me. On the way back, it was raining hard. The car skidded and—" He couldn't finish the sentence. Olivia saw the tears in his eyes. "And you blame yourself for that. Every single day, Olivia. If I hadn't been so stubborn, if I'd just put work aside for once, they wouldn't have left upset. Maybe they wouldn't have left at all that night. Mr. Richard, you couldn't have known what would happen. My head understands that, but my heart doesn't. For 10 years, I've lived in this house like a ghost, working non-stop so I wouldn't have to think, avoiding anything that reminded me of them. So why are you telling me this? Because when you arrived here singing that song Catherine loved, it was like a ray of light breaking through the darkness. For the first time in 10 years, this house felt alive again. Olivia was moved. She'd never imagined her presence could mean so much to someone. That's why I don't want you to leave, Olivia. Not out of pity or charity, but because you brought back something I thought I'd lost forever, the ability to be happy." From that day on, their relationship changed. It was no longer just employer and employee. It was almost like a father and an adoptive daughter, bound together by music and shared pain. Jennifer noticed the change in her daughter. Olivia came home more confident, talking about the songs she was learning, the conversations she had with Richard. "Mom, I think I really want to study music." "What do you mean?" "Mr. Richard said I have talent. That with a good teacher I could even apply to a conservatory." Jennifer grew worried. She knew dreams like that were expensive and they couldn't afford it. "Sweetheart, that's very costly. Private lessons, sheet music, instruments." "I know, Mom, but maybe someday I don't want you to get your hopes up too high. We're simple people." But Olivia had already planted the seed of that dream in her heart. She began dedicating herself even more to the piano, practicing whenever she could. Richard noticed her effort and decided to take things further. He hired a private teacher to give Olivia lessons once a week. When Jennifer found out, she was extremely concerned. "Olivia, this is going too far. What does he want in return?" "Nothing, Mom. He only wants to help me develop my talent." "Honey, no one spends money like that for nothing. He must have ulterior motives." "Mom, why don't you talk to him? You'll see he's sincere." Jennifer decided to do just that. The following Saturday, she went to the mansion for a frank conversation with Richard. "Mr. Richard, I need to understand what's going on." "What do you mean, Mrs. Jennifer? This whole private lesson arrangement for Olivia. What do you expect in return?" Richard sighed. He understood her concern. "Mrs. Jennifer, can I be completely honest? Please. Your daughter brought joy back into my life. I'm not trying to buy her affection or seduce her. I'm trying to repay a gift she gave me without even knowing." "What gift?" "The music, the hope, the ability to smile again. I hadn't felt that in 10 years. Jennifer studied him carefully. There was sincerity in his words. "And if she no longer wants to work here, then I'll respect her decision. But the lessons would continue just the same. This isn't a favor tied to her job." "Why?" "Because she has real talent, Mrs. Jennifer. It would be a tragedy to waste it for lack of opportunity." Jennifer fell silent for a few minutes, thinking. "All right. But I want to make one thing clear. If at any point I sense ulterior motives, Olivia stops coming here immediately." "I completely agree." The piano lessons began the following week. The teacher, Margaret Wilson, was a woman in her 60s who taught at the conservatory. In the first lesson, she was struck by Olivia's natural talent. "Richard, this girl has an exceptional ear. It's rare to see someone play with such musicality when they're self-taught." Do you think she has a future in music? If she wants it and commits, she could go very far, but it will take a lot of study and dedication. Olivia was thrilled by the possibilities. She began practicing every day at home on a simple keyboard Jennifer managed to buy with the money from her work at the mansion. The neighbors grew used to hearing music coming from their small apartment. Some complained about the noise, but others stopped to listen when Olivia played by the open windows. Months passed and Olivia's progress was remarkable. She could already play complex pieces and was starting to compose her own music. One day, Margaret came with a surprising proposal. "Olivia, there's a young talent competition at the conservatory. The winner receives a full scholarship." "A competition?" "Yes. It's a unique opportunity. You have the talent to compete." Olivia was excited but nervous. She had never performed in public before. "I'll do it." "Wonderful, but you'll need a proper dress for the performance." Jennifer worried when she heard about the competition. A proper dress would cost more than they had. "Mom, I can wear that blue dress you used for church events." "Honey, that dress is old and way too big for you." "Then I won't compete." "Of course you will. We'll figure something out." Jennifer spent the entire week sewing and adjusting the dress. It wasn't perfect, but it was presentable. On the day of the competition, Olivia was nervous. There were 15 other young competitors, and they all seemed far more prepared than her. "Good luck, sweetheart," Jennifer said, kissing her daughter's forehead. "Good luck, Olivia," Richard said. "Remember, play with your heart, not your head." When it was Olivia's turn, she walked onto the stage with shaking legs. She looked at the audience and saw Jennifer and Richard in the front row, cheering for her. She sat at the piano and began playing the song her grandmother Dorothy had taught her, the same one that had captivated Richard that first day. But this time, she played it differently. She poured her entire story into the music: the longing for her grandmother, her mother's struggles, Richard's loneliness, the hope for a better future. The audience fell completely silent. When she finished, there were a few seconds of pause before the applause erupted. Olivia knew she had played like never before. Regardless of the outcome, she was proud of herself. The wait for the results was agonizing. There were many talented candidates, and some had years of formal training. When they announced third place, it wasn't Olivia. When they announced second place, it wasn't her either. And the first place winner, receiving the full scholarship to the City Music Conservatory, is Olivia Parker. Jennifer screamed with joy. Richard clapped with tears in his eyes. Olivia stepped onto the stage, unable to believe what was happening. "Congratulations, young lady. Your performance was the most moving we've seen in years," said the conservatory director. In the months that followed, Olivia's life changed completely. She continued working weekends at Richard's house, but now she also studied music 3 times a week at the conservatory. Her progress was astounding. In no time, she was playing pieces that usually took years to master. "Olivia is doing incredibly well," Margaret remarked to Richard. "She has a bright future ahead. I'm so proud of her. Actually, there's something I wanted to discuss with you. The conservatory is arranging an exchange with a music school in Paris. Olivia has been selected." Richard was stunned. "To Paris?" "It's a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. 6 months of study with some of the best teachers in the world. And the cost? Tuition is covered by the exchange program, but there are still expenses for flights, lodging, and meals." Richard didn't hesitate. "I'll pay." "Richard, it's a lot of money." "I don't care. Olivia deserves this chance." When Jennifer heard about the offer, she was torn. On one hand, she knew it would be amazing for her daughter's future. On the other, 6 months was a long time to be apart. "Mom, this is my chance to become a real musician," Olivia said. "I know, sweetheart, but you're so young to be alone on the other side of the world." "I won't be alone. I'll be staying in a student residence with supervision." "What if you don't adjust? What if you get homesick and want to come back?" "Mom, if I don't try, I'll always wonder what could have been." Jennifer knew her daughter was right. She couldn't let fear stand in the way of Olivia's dream. "All right, but you have to call me every day." "I promise, Mom." Preparations for the trip began. Richard made sure everything was taken care of: passport, visas, flights. clothes suitable for the European weather. "Mr. Richard, I don't know how to thank you for everything you've done for me," Olivia said the night before her departure. "You don't have to thank me, Olivia. You're the one who taught me how to live again." "What do you mean? Before you came, I was just existing, working like a robot, feeling nothing. You brought music, joy, and purpose back into my life. Will you miss me?" "Terribly, but I'll be happy knowing you're chasing your dreams." At the airport, the farewell was emotional. Jennifer cried as she hugged her daughter, and Richard tried to keep his composure but was visibly moved. "Will you take care of my mom for me?" Olivia asked. "Of course, and you take care of your dreams." In Paris, Olivia adjusted better than expected. The school was incredible. The teachers were demanding but inspiring, and she was learning more in weeks than she had in months back in the United States. She called home every day, sharing stories about her classes, the other students, and the musical discoveries she was making. "Mom, today I learned a Mozart piece that's absolutely beautiful. When I come back, I'll play it for you." "We can't wait, sweetheart. Mr. Richard always asks how you're doing." "How is he?" "Working hard, as always. But I think he's missing you. His house has become so quiet." It was true. Richard deeply felt Olivia's absence. The mansion had fallen silent again, and he often caught himself waiting to hear her voice humming through the halls. To ease the longing, he began visiting Jennifer regularly, bringing gifts and asking about Olivia. "How is she doing with her studies?" "Very well. The teachers say she's one of the best students they've ever had. I'm so proud of her." "Mr. Richard, may I ask you a personal question?" "Of course. Why do you care so much about Olivia?" "I'm not questioning it, I just want to understand." Richard thought for a moment before answering. "You know, Jennifer, when I lost Catherine and Emily, I thought I'd never be able to love anyone again. The heart just freezes over, you know?" "I do." Olivia melted that ice, not romantically, of course, but like she was the daughter I lost. When I see her grow and chase her dreams, it's as if part of Emily is living through her. Jennifer was moved by his sincerity. "I'm sure your wife and daughter would be happy knowing you're helping another girl achieve her dreams." "That's what I hope, Jennifer. That's what I hope." In Paris, Olivia was in her 4th month abroad when something unexpected happened. During a composition class, she created a melody that deeply impressed her teacher. "Mademoiselle Olivia, this melody is extraordinary. Where did this inspiration come from?" "It's a mix, Professor, of the songs my grandmother taught me and the techniques I've learned here. You must develop this. It could be the start of a career as a composer." "A composer?" "Yes. You're not just a talented performer. You have a gift for musical creation." This discovery opened a new world for Olivia. She began writing original pieces, blending elements of American music with European classical techniques. One of her compositions caught the attention of a music producer visiting the school. "This young woman has exceptional talent. I'd like to record some of her compositions when she returns to the United States." When Olivia shared this with her family, everyone was thrilled. "Sweetheart, you're going to be a famous composer," said Jennifer. "Easy, Mom. It's just a possibility for now." "Olivia, we're so proud of you," Richard said during one of their calls. "Your grandmother Dorothy would be overjoyed. Time in Paris flew by." In her last month, Olivia already missed home but was also sad to leave that incredible learning environment. Her teachers insisted on organizing a farewell recital where she would perform her own compositions. "Olivia, you'll return to the United States as a complete musician," her main teacher said. "We hope you'll stay in touch and tell us about your career. I'll miss all of this. But now you have the tools to keep growing, and who knows, maybe one day you'll return to study with us at the university." The idea of coming back for a music degree in France excited Olivia. It was a dream for the future. On the day of her return, she felt both eager and nervous. 6 months felt like an eternity, and she wondered if everyone back home would still be the same. At Newark Airport, Jennifer and Richard waited for her with signs and flowers. Their reunion was emotional, filled with hugs and tears of joy. "Let me get a good look at you," Jennifer said, holding her daughter's face. "You've grown. You look more mature." "I missed you both so much." We missed you too, sweetheart. The house wasn't the same without you. On the way back, Olivia shared all her adventures, everything she'd learned, and the amazing people she'd met. "So now, what are your plans?" Richard asked. "First, I want to record these compositions I've written. Then I plan to take the music entrance exams here in the United States, and who knows, maybe in the future, return to do my master's in France." "Everything so well planned," said Jennifer, proud. In the following days, Olivia readjusted to life back in the US. She returned to working weekends at Richard's house, but now the atmosphere was different. She had matured, and their relationship had evolved into something even more special. "You know, Olivia, while you were away, I thought a lot about the future," Richard said one Saturday afternoon. "How so?" "I'm thinking of shifting my company's focus a bit. I want to create a music institute for underprivileged youth." "Really?" "Yes. You showed me how music can change lives. I want other kids to have the same opportunity you did." "What an amazing idea. And I'd like you to be the ambassador of the project. Your story could inspire other young people." Olivia was moved by the proposal. It was a way to give back everything she had received. "I'd be honored to accept." The Richard Bennett Music Institute opened 6 months later, at a ceremony where Olivia was the special guest. She performed her compositions for an audience of underprivileged youth, their families, and prominent figures in American classical music. "This piece was born from memories of my grandmother, grew with the kindness of Mr. Richard, and blossomed with the opportunities I was given," she said before playing. "Tonight I dedicate this performance to every young person with a musical dream in their heart." Her performance moved the entire audience. At the end, she received a standing ovation that lasted several minutes. The music producer who had shown interest in Paris was in the crowd and approached her afterward. "Olivia, I confirm my interest in recording your compositions. Can we schedule a meeting to discuss the details?" "Of course, that would be a dream." In the following months, Olivia recorded her first album, a collection of original compositions inspired by her personal journey. The album was well received by critics and audiences alike. "Olivia Parker is a rising star in American music, uniquely blending tradition and modernity," wrote a prominent music critic. With the album's success came invitations to perform in cities across the country. Olivia began doing small tours, always accompanied by her mother or Richard. During a performance in New Orleans, something extraordinary happened. An elderly woman approached her after the show. "Young lady, you sang a song my mother used to sing to me when I was a child." "Which one?" "The first one, the one you said you learned from your grandmother." "Country Moon?" "That's the one. My mother called it Country Moon too. She was from Virginia, born in 1920. My grandmother was also from Virginia, born in 1925. "What was her name?" "Dorothy Mary Smith." The woman turned pale. "Dorothy? Dorothy who lived in Charlottesville?" "Yes. Did you know my grandmother?" "Know her? She was my baby sister." Olivia couldn't believe it. After all these years, she had found a relative she never knew existed. "I'm Faith, your great-aunt. Dorothy and I lost touch after we married and moved to different cities. I always wondered what happened to her." The family reunion was emotional. Faith shared stories of Grandma Dorothy's childhood, showed old photos, and revealed many details about the family Olivia had never known. "Your grandmother was always musical. She sang from the time she was little. When we were kids, she made up songs about everything. Just like me. It runs in the family, dear. Music is in our blood." Faith lived in New Orleans with her children and grandchildren and invited Olivia to meet the whole family. "Jennifer should come too. I want to meet my great-niece's mother." The trip to New Orleans was thrilling. Jennifer met relatives she never knew existed, and Olivia discovered there were several musician cousins in the family. "Now I understand where all this talent comes from," Jennifer said, watching one of Olivia's cousins play the guitar. "Music has always been important in our family," Faith explained. "But Dorothy was special. She could play any instrument just by listening." During the visit, Olivia learned several old family songs, which she incorporated into her future compositions. "I want to record an album with just our family's music," she said. "What a wonderful idea. It would be a way to preserve our history." Back in New York City, Olivia felt more inspired than ever. Meeting her family had given new meaning to her music. Richard noticed the change immediately. "You're different, Olivia. More mature, more connected to your roots." It's true. Discovering my family helped me understand who I am and where my music comes from. "And how does that affect your future plans?" "I still want to study in France, but now I know I'll always come back to the United States. My music was born here, from the mix of our culture and my experiences." Olivia's second album, Family Songs, was released a year later and became even more successful than the first. The traditional melodies she arranged won over audiences of all ages. "Olivia achieved something rare," a critic remarked. "She modernized traditional music without losing its essence." The success opened international doors. She received invitations to perform at music festivals abroad. During a performance in Paris, at the same conservatory where she had studied, she reunited with her old teachers. "Nous sommes très fiers de vous, Olivia," her former teacher said. "You've become exactly what we hoped for, a complete artist." "Thank you so much. Everything I am today I owe to the lessons I learned here." "And now? Do you plan to come back to study with us?" "Yes, but not now. First, I want to establish my career in the United States, to help other young people like I was helped." Back in the United States, Olivia devoted herself even more to the Richard Bennett Music Institute. She taught scholarship students and organized fundraisers. "Olivia has become much more than a musician," Richard told Jennifer. "She's an inspiration to hundreds of young people. I'm so proud of her and grateful to you for everything you've done." "Jennifer, I'm the one who should thank you. Olivia has completely changed my life." It was true. Richard had become a completely different person, happier, more generous, more connected to those around him. On the Institute's third anniversary, a big celebration was held with performances by all the students. Olivia was the main attraction. "3 years ago, I was just a girl singing while cleaning cars," she said on stage. "Today, I'm here because someone believed in me and gave me opportunities. This institute exists so other children can have the same chances I did." Her performance that night was special. She played a new composition, created just for the occasion, telling the institute's story through music. At the end, she invited some former students to play together. The result was a moving symphony that left no dry eyes in the audience. "Olivia has created something bigger than music," a journalist in attendance commented. "She's built a community, a musical family." After the performance, during the celebration, Richard pulled Olivia aside for a private talk. "Olivia, there's something I've wanted to tell you for a long time." "What is it?" "Since you came into my life, I've never felt alone. You've become like a daughter to me. You're like a father to me, too. That's why I'd like to make an official proposal." Olivia Parker was curious. "What kind of proposal?" "I want to adopt you officially. You'd be my legal daughter with all the rights that come with it." Olivia was shocked. She had never imagined things would reach this point. "What about my mother?" "Jennifer would still be your mother, of course. It would just be a legal formality to ensure you always have support for your studies and career." "I need to talk to her." "Of course. Take your time." At home, Jennifer was surprised by the proposal, but not uncomfortable. "What do you think, Mom?" "Honey, Mr. Richard is a good man. If this will help you in the future, I don't see a problem. But legally, won't it change our relationship?" "No, Olivia. I'll always be your mother, no matter what the papers say." After much thought, Olivia decided to accept. The adoption process was quick, considering she was already an adult and agreed to everything. "Now we're officially a family," Richard said the day the papers were finalized. "We've been family for a long time," Olivia replied. "Now it's just official." With the legal security the adoption provided, Olivia could fully dedicate herself to music without financial worries. She was accepted into the best music program in New York City and also received an offer for a master's degree in France. "I think I'll do my undergrad here and my master's there," she decided. "Great choice," Richard approved. "That way, you stay close to family while you finish your degree." During her studies, Olivia kept composing and performing. Her albums grew more successful, and she was soon considered one of the most promising young musicians in the United States. In her final year, she received a special invitation to conduct the New York City Symphony Orchestra at a charity concert. "It's an honor, but also a big responsibility," she said. "You're ready," Richard assured her. "I'm certain of it." The concert was a historic event. At 21, Olivia became the youngest conductor to lead that orchestra. "Today, I represent all the young people who have a musical dream," she said before the performance. "This piece is for you, never stop dreaming." The concert was an absolute success. International media covered the event, and Olivia received invitations to conduct orchestras in other countries. "American music is in good hands with Olivia Parker," wrote a European critic. After graduation, Olivia prepared to leave for France for her master's. This time, the farewell was less dramatic. Everyone knew it was temporary. "2 years will pass quickly," Jennifer said, hugging her daughter. "And this time you can visit me," Olivia replied. "I'm already planning a trip," Richard promised. In Paris, Olivia pursued her master's in composition and conducting. Her studies were brilliant, and she stood out among international students. During her program, she composed a full symphony based on her family's story and the Richard Bennett Music Institute. "Cette symphonie raconte une histoire universelle," her advisor remarked. "L'histoire de la musique qui transforme des vies." The symphony premiered in Paris to great acclaim and was later performed in several European capitals. "Olivia is bringing American music to the world," a journalist noted. At the end of her master's, she received offers to stay in Europe but chose to return to the United States. "My place is here," she said. "This is where I can make a difference." Back in New York City, Olivia took over as artistic director of the Music Institute, which had grown significantly in her absence. "Now we have students from all over the country," Richard shared. "Your story inspired donations from everywhere. It's amazing to see how a small seed grew into something so big." Olivia implemented new programs at the Institute, including scholarships for studies abroad and partnerships with international conservatories. "I want all students to have the same opportunities I had," she explained. At 25, Olivia was already internationally recognized as a composer and conductor, but for her, the most important thing was the social work she carried out. "Music saved my life," she said in an interview. "Now I want it to save the lives of other children." The Richard Bennett Music Institute had become a national reference. Several former students pursued professional music careers, and many returned as volunteer teachers. "We've created a virtuous cycle," observed Jennifer proudly. "Those who receive help later help others." "That's exactly what I always dreamed of," said Olivia. On a Saturday afternoon, 10 years after their first meeting in the parking lot, Olivia was in Richard's mansion, now playing the same piano where she had learned her first notes. "Remember when you found me cleaning cars?" she asked. "How could I forget? It was the day my life changed." "Mine too. Sometimes I wonder what would have happened if you hadn't stopped to listen to me. But I did. And look how far we've come." Olivia played the melody she had hummed that first day. Now it had transformed into a complex and beautiful composition that told their entire journey. "This music tells our story," she said. "Our story, and the story of hundreds of other families touched by music." Jennifer arrived for the Sunday lunch that had become a tradition at the mansion. At 55, she was healthy and happy, proud of her daughter, and grateful for the family they had gained. "How were classes this week?" she asked. "We have 3 new students. One of them reminds me so much of myself when I started." "How so?" "She's a 14-year-old girl who sings while helping her mother sell sweets on the street. She has an angelic voice." "And you've already offered her a scholarship?" "Of course. Her mother was suspicious at first, just like you were." Jennifer laughed. "It's normal. When something seems too good to be true, we get suspicious. But this girl will go far. She has the same spark in her eyes that Olivia had," said Richard. That afternoon, they went to the Institute for the students' monthly performance. The auditorium was packed with proud families watching their children's progress. Olivia took the stage to speak before the performances. 10 years ago, I was a girl who dreamed of making music. Today, I see dozens of young people living that same dream. This is only possible because someone believed music could transform lives. The applause was warm. Among the attendees were business people, politicians, and famous artists who supported the project. The first performance was by the new girl Olivia had mentioned. She sang with a sweet and powerful voice that moved the entire audience. "It's like seeing Olivia again at 14, Jennifer whispered to Richard. "The cycle continues," he replied, smiling. At the end of the performances, Olivia was called to play. She chose a recent composition, inspired by the Institute's story. As she played, she looked at the audience and saw faces of all ages and social backgrounds united by music. She saw former students who were now teachers, emotional parents, children dreaming of the future. In that moment, she fully understood the meaning of her journey. It wasn't just about fulfilling her own dreams, but creating a legacy that would allow hundreds of other children to fulfill theirs. When she finished playing, silence lingered for a few seconds before the applause erupted. Olivia stood and waved to Jennifer and Richard in the front row. "Thank you," she said, speaking to them as much as to the audience. "Thank you for believing that a poor girl who sang while washing cars could make it this far." The applause grew louder. Many people stood up, creating an ovation that lasted several minutes. That evening, during the family dinner, Richard raised a toast. "Let's toast to music, which brought us together. And let's toast to the future, full of young talents who will follow Olivia's example." "Cheers," the three said, raising their glasses. "And let's also toast to Grandma Dorothy," Olivia added, "because she planted the first seed of this story." "To Grandma Dorothy," everyone agreed. Later, as Jennifer and Olivia were leaving, Richard walked them to the gate. "You know you're the best thing that ever happened to me, right?" "We know," Jennifer said, "and you know you saved us too." "We saved each other," Olivia corrected. "That's what families do." In the car, mother and daughter talked about the day. "Sweetheart, are you happy with your choices?" "Completely, Mom. I wouldn't change a thing about what we've been through. Not even the hard parts?" "Especially the hard parts. They made us stronger and taught us to appreciate what we have." "Your grandmother would be so proud." "I know. And I'm sure she's watching everything from above, smiling." When they got home, Olivia went to the piano and softly played the melody Grandma Dorothy had taught her. It was the same song that had captivated Richard that first day, but now it held a much deeper meaning. It was the song that had changed 3 lives forever, the song that had created a family, the song that had become hope for hundreds of children. Olivia smiled, closed the piano, and went to sleep, grateful for every note of the symphony her life had become. The next morning, she woke up with a new melody in her head. She rushed to the piano and began composing. It was a joyful song, full of hope, about new beginnings and dreams coming true. "What will you call this one?" Jennifer asked, listening from afar. "The Girl Who Sang," Olivia replied, never stopping her playing. And so, the story continued to be written, one note at a time, one child at a time, one dream at a time. The end. Now tell us what you thought of Olivia's story. Do you believe music can truly change lives? Share your thoughts in the comments, and if you enjoyed it, don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel for more heartwarming stories.